So somebody asked for a math tutorial, and I said yes because I can. And yeah, as I said in the title, it's make your own base, which can be good for people who don't have enough money for the store-bought bases, or if you don't like the style of the store-bought bases, which is valid, completely valid. I mean, like, I can see why you wouldn't like them. I still think they're cool though, but like, yeah, any reason, whatever reason, you can't get them. Yeah, and also I just prefer to make my own bases. It's cheaper and it recycles. I'm probably gonna add an example of this mask, of what the back looks like. Yeah, I hope you enjoy. I apologize if there's any weird background noise or weird awkward pauses. Yeah, enjoy. Hopefully this works for you. I have never made a tutorial before, so yeah, enjoy. First, get anything with like that's thin cardboard. Cereal boxes work well. If you get like soda pack boxes, like for instance, I'm using Diet Coke at the moment. Those work perfectly. Really, anything that's thin cardboard works excellent. Make a shape that looks. You're gonna want to make a shape that looks a bit like a gumdrop, as shown here. Make sure it's a little bit bigger than your head. And make it as long as you want, because that's going to be how far it goes down on your face. Next, you're going to add these little triangles, as shown here. It doesn't have to be even, but it will work a bit better if you make it even. Just a quick trigger warning, there's going to be scissors in this video, probably quite a bit, and hot glue, so if that's triggering for you, yeah. But now we're gonna cut the gumdrop out, and now we're gonna cut the little triangles out as well. I like doing the triangles afterwards because it makes it feel neater and it's easier too. Now we're gonna fold over the little edges like this. Well, I'll show you in a sec. And hot glue it like this. Or not, I guess, but it's gonna be a bit hard to show. There we go. I did it off camera because it's a bit hard to do without two hands, but it should look a bit like this little point. You can cut that out or like push it down. I suggest doing that, but I'm gonna do the other now. Now that we have the basic mask shape, you can trim to your liking. I'm gonna trim off this part a bit, and possibly the sides too. Once we add like the snout, by the way, this is better for longer noses or snouts on the things. You can do it with normal cat noses. It's just it's a little bit harder, but I'm gonna add a bit more shape to the cheeks after I'm done with the snout, like I was just talking about. As you can see, I cut off the corners a bit. Probably still gonna push them down a bit too, but yeah. Okay, now that we have our plain base, next we're gonna add the eyes, snout, and ears. I suggest adding the eyes first, because then you can like shape the snout and the ears around it. I like to do that because I like to see, but basically you're just gonna map out where your eyes would be. You can put it against your face and try. I'm just know the general area where my eyes are, so yeah, because I made quite a few of these at this point. But yeah, basically map those out. Like draw the shape that you want them to be, maybe a bit bigger, because once we felt the mask, it's going to make the eye holes a bit smaller. And also, in general, if it's bigger, it will be easier to cut out. Okay, now that that's done, I'm gonna add the snout. I make this type of snout. Basically, you just make this shape, cut out a rectangle, make 2 lines in it, and fold the lines over each other. You can find it on YouTube. Okay, now that that's all finished up, you're gonna put the snout against the mask, wherever you want the snout to be, and outline that. I did it pretty faintly here, but you should still be able to see it pretty well, I think. But as you can see, yeah, ignore my giant fingers. I don't know what I'm doing, really. Now, you're gonna draw little triangles like this. You'll see why in a second. But now you're gonna cut it out. Like so. Now it looks a little bit like a little monster. That's cute. And now you're gonna put the snout on, and then, actually no, you're gonna bend these little pieces before hot gluing the snout on top of them, using the little pieces to hold the snout down. Okay, now that that's all adhered, the back should look a bit like this. Now that that's all adhered, we're gonna add the little nose bridge part, because, yeah. Now that you have the strip, you're gonna put hot glue as shown here, and then put it on your mask. Make sure it's bent a bit, so that it has a smoother look. I trimmed the cheeks a bit because, yeah, it just makes it look better. And now I'm gonna add the ears, and once again, I don't really do anything special for my ears besides attaching them, and you can find a video on how to make them on YouTube. Okay, so once again, I have my ears, and I'm gonna add them on, but basically you're gonna do what you did with the snout and make little triangles like so. And once again, we're gonna add the ears like the snout, and I suggest putting like one in front and one in the back. I don't know, just apply it so it stays up, unless you want it to hang down, then yeah. Okay, so they're all added. I trimmed it a bit on the top too, because you'll have a bit of an extra, and I trimmed the sides a bit too, because yeah. Now we're basically done with the shape, and it's on to felting. Okay, so I got this technique from somebody. I do not remember who. If I did, I would at them. But all my appreciation goes to them, because they're really good at felting, and they taught me how to do it well. But basically, find a piece that covers it most of the way. It's okay if it's not perfect. I'll show you how to add little things later after I'm done with most of it. But start putting glue on the snout and forehead, on this, specifically on the strip you did right there, and then put the felt on it and smooth it. Now put some on the rest of the snout. And then the forehead. Work your way all the way around, going from the forehead to the sides of the snout to the cheeks, and try to get it as smooth as possible. Although if it isn't, that's okay. I'll go over how to fix that later. If it's giving a bit of tug, like for instance right here, I suggest going ahead and cutting it a bit just to loosen it up. I like to cut mine like this, giving it 4 little places. If you did it like I did, you'll probably have gouts of fur like right here, and if you're doing long-eared animals, the ears might be a bit messed up. So you want to keep a little bit of like the long flaps to make like so that you can like felt it under, but otherwise cut off a bunch so to waste less, but make sure you still keep a little. Okay, like this. And basically you're gonna take these little patches you have left and glue them as where there's missing patches. But you don't want to you have to glue them very carefully so that the edges just meet, so that it doesn't it looks more seamless. Okay, now that you got that all felted, it's time to tuck the things back. And how you do that is add cuts at basically every sharp corner, and then you fold it back. Here's mine before I fold it back. Here's it after I folded everything back. And before this, I forgot to mention that if you have any lumps or wrinkles, to get rid of them, you can just pull on the things when you're folding everything back to smooth it out. And if it's closer to the center, you can do that when you're cutting out the eyes. Now, for cutting out the eyes, you're going to have to poke a hole through the center and cut out little things, basically with what we did to the outside, and then fold it in like we did to the outside. Here's mine. For the eye holes, I suggest using mesh fabric. This is the one I have, and I'm just going to fold it over twice and put it over both eyes. Like this. Now that the base is done, you can decorate, paint, or whatever with however you like.